we're thrilled that you're coming. For about 10 years, my ministry has been focusing on financial freedom, trying to help people climb out of debt, become owners of real estate, and just really put themselves on a good financial track. And
Right.
um, my book and my workbook and our training and all of our materials have been aimed at adults, all,
Hmm.
because I've got so many people who are just drowning. And every year for the last 10 years, people have been saying, look, you got to get to these kids before they get in trouble. And
Right.
particularly college students that are just being exposed to credit cards day one.
That was me.
Really? In college?
Absolutely. That's when I had terrible credit because of those credit cards in college.
But you aren't you from Jersey? You're supposed to know better.
Well, I'm from Brooklyn. I lived in Jersey. I definitely didn't know better.
Yeah, I'm from Brooklyn too. Uh,
Yeah.
so 2 years ago, we had a group of recent college grads come together, and they took all of my materials, and then they adapted it to a younger crowd. The mission was everything that wish they knew when they went to college,
Right.
and they put together an outline, a curriculum, a workbook, but we really haven't had time or capacity to use it. And so what we decided was that we would launch it at this year's conference, but we needed a personality that that young people were more likely to listen to than listen to a preacher.
Right.
And I had you in the back of my mind all 3 years because you have more influence over this next generation than all the preachers in the country together.
Right. I
But I didn't know your story. And one day I just happened to be listening to the Breakfast Club as best I could, and I heard you talking about this credit card thing that you overcame,
right.
and I said, oh my God, she is the one.
No, I did a
So
whole thing in Black Enterprise magazine about it because I definitely, had like a shopping mini addiction, and I had all these different credit cards that I got when I was in college, and I was just buying things and everything up to the limit and trying to pay down the minimum if I paid it at all. And when I
yeah,
graduated, I owed so much money, and I was like, how am I going to do this?
yeah,
And it took a long time for me to get myself out of it. And, during the course of that time, I still was just living check to check, still
right.
had these debts I had to pay off, still had my student loans, still had to pay rent, and I was managing an artist, so I was still having to get credit cards to pay for stuff for him. And it was just a lot. It was very overwhelming for me, and it is a feeling of I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to get out of this, but I did manage to do that. And actually I bought a house recently last year.
Okay.
I bought a house, and I just started investing in the stock market also.
Well, that's outstanding. The reality is that most people, when they get in a jam like that, they just don't know how to get started,
Hmm.
and they get so overwhelmed. I was there. I mean, I'm on the board of a bank now, but that's not my story. I mean, I'm an expert on this because, like you, I was drowning in debt. I drove a big car, had furniture, had credit cards, and I was broke all the time.
Right.
So we've been on this mission, and I'll tell you, there is no, in my mind, there's no greater mission than this, because once you get control of your finances, you get control of your life. We don't really teach money management. We teach life management, and then using money to reach your goals.
Right. And I think it was important because it wasn't something that I learned from my parents. Like my mom still has terrible credit and all this debt that she has to get rid of. It was something that I really had to teach myself.
Right.
And then it was important for me to reach out to other people too who were, I reached out to stockbrokers, I reached out to people who were experts as far as money management and all of that, just to kind of talk to them to get some advice. And there's so much information available.
Oh, absolutely. Our problem is not a lack of information. Our problem is connecting the information to
Right.
people who need it. For instance, in my book, I talk about how I changed. I did what you did. I stopped listening to like BLS and some other stations that I won't mention, and I went down to the opposite end of the dial, and there were shows about money on the radio for free, and people
Exactly.
call in, and you get information. The newspapers. I mean, there is information available. Our job is to really motivate people to believe, one, that it's possible, two, that it's important, and three, that they can really do it. So your testimony is that if you could do it, anybody can do it.
Trust me, if I can do it and as much money as I owed, I think, and to not even just do it, but then to be able to buy a house in this climate, like last year, where you had to put down 25%, not
Right.
just previously you could have put down 5%, 10%. I had to put down 25% to buy my house, and I have a perfect credit score now, by the way,
Look
which
at
I
that.
never, you could have never, ever, ever made me believe that could happen. But you
Yeah.
know, if
You
I
do it
can
one
do
step at a
it,
time. You do it one step at a time.
then,
You do it one bill at a time. And I think that a voice like yours can be so impactful in the country. I mean, this is not a perfect country. And once we solve all of the other problems that have to be solved, we are still going to be faced with this issue of living within our means, paying our bills on time, having dreams, putting away money, saving money, investing money. I mean, that's something no one can do for us. We got to do for ourselves.
right. And my main thing was, I know a lot of times people tell you like what you're supposed to do to pay off debt, but I had to do what worked for me best. And what I did was I got rid of all those little credit cards, those store cards that have high interest rates,
Right.
all those little things, a little $600 I owe on this card, 1,200 on this card. Get rid of those. I got rid of all those first. So when it came down to the end, I just had one bill to pay instead of having to pay all these different, bills over here and over there. I just was like, let me get rid of all the smaller debts first because it's overwhelming when you get like 12 bills in the mail.
It
So
is.
it was way easier
And,
for me
and
by
that's
the time I got
exactly
to one.
that is exactly the method, the strategy that we choose. And you have to do what's best for you. But
Hmm.
that strategy we find is manageable. You know, you have small victories. When you pay off one $600 bill and it's gone, you have a feeling of victory and possibility. We
Right.
actually there's a term for that. It's actually called the snowball method. And so we teach the snowball method. You start small, you go to the next largest one until you get to the big ones, and then you just pay as much as you can, as often as you can.
Right.
So
Perfect.
let me ask you this: in your presentation, do you prefer just grabbing the mic and telling your story? Do you prefer an interview style with somebody? Will I chat with you? Do you want to do Q&A? How do you want to? We want to do this in a way that makes it completely comfortable for you.
I would like if we can chat, and then I would love to take questions. If
Hmm.
anybody has questions, I have no problem with that. I'm very open about my whole situation. So
Yeah. So how often have you done this? I mean, where have you been doing these kinds of presentations?
I haven't really done anything about finances too much. I know people ask me about it a lot, but it's never been focused on that. A lot of times I've done things like for women's empowerment, and I
Right.
do things where I talk to college students, but it's never been strictly about finances. And it's a good time for me because, I did just invest in a few different things, and I have a mentor now, Charles Payne, who talks to me about investing and kind of gives me some guidance to teach me about things that I never knew before, and it's exciting for me. So I would be really happy to start talking about that.
So this is the first.
Yes, the first that's only about finances.
Wow, I'm honored. And what about in church? What about what do you do a lot of talking in churches?
I've done a couple, like in Newark, I did, and I did something in Brooklyn recently also.
Well, listen, we're honored to have you. I can't tell you how excited the young people are. Um, the brother that owns allhiphop.com, Chuck Creekmore.
I love Chuck.
Yeah, he's a member of my church, so he'll be.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll be. He loves you too, by the way.
Yeah, that's great. We've known each other since we all came up together, kind of. So
He told
yeah.
me that. And anything we can do to help you after this is over, we're happy to do it. Anytime a young person like yourself is willing to use your name recognition, your celebrity, your market penetration for something that's redemptive and positive, that's like gold for us.
I'm glad you think I'm young.
You are young, trust me. You are young. All right, we'll trade driver's licenses when you get. You see how young you are. But really, we'll stay in touch. We'll hook you up that day. You'll be very well treated. And moreover, anytime you want to do more of this, we do this every day, all day. So
Okay.
this is what we
Oh,
do.
I'm really happy to be a part of it. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Great. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good. All right.